Hello, this is Charlie from MMG, and today we're going to be having a look at the screen capture component within NDI Tools. Now, as the name suggests, it will basically capture your screen on your computer or desktop and turn that into an NDI feed. Now, just a quick word about that. So, Windows, it's called screen capture and will work in exactly the way I show in this video. If you're using this on Mac OS, it will be known as scan converter. And I believe there's a bit more limiting in some of the choices you get in settings compared to a Windows machine, but generally works the same. So yeah, let's get started. So where you've got screen capture here on the NDI Tools window. So we're basically going to now just click that. This little pop-up will appear. You can just close that and then click the show hidden icons. And now where you've got this little icon, you can hover over it and it says screen capture on it. If you right click this screen capture icon, you can then access the actual settings for the screen capture. So first bit I'm going to start with is actually these capture settings here, where it says region of interest, configure ROI, and mouse pointers. So the mouse pointer is self-explanatory. Essentially, if you click it, it will, if it's ticked, it will show your mouse cursor on the NDI feed. If it is not ticked, like it is now, there will not be a mouse cursor on the NDI feed you produce. For this demonstration, I'll click it and then we can see what that looks like in a moment. Now, the other interesting thing, so if I pull up a studio monitor, which I've got open here already on the correct feed, so this is now pulling the screen capture, so you can see we've got an infinite loop right here. Now, this is my full screen, and you can see that there is indeed a mouse cursor on screen. Now, if I click that mouse pointer off, it's gone. Now, the cool bit here is the region of interest. So if you click region of interest, what you'll suddenly notice is the feed has now drastically changed. Now, the reason that it has changed is because now we're actually capturing a specified area of the screen that we can determine. Now, we can determine that by going capture settings and then configure ROI meaning region of interest. So if I click that, I can now configure that. And as you can see, I'm able to move that across the screen. I can even have a more custom resolution. As you can see, big infinity loop there. And it can basically be anything you like at that point. So I could specifically capture, for example, the screen capture button right here, and just that and only that. So there's definitely some extremely useful applications that this can have. Now I'm going to close off the region of interest and we're just going to go back to full screen mode by clicking region of interest again. That puts you back to full screen. Now we can now go through the rest of the settings for the screen capture. So things like the frame rate. Now, I would probably recommend using your monitor's frame rate in most cases. Or if you're, let's say, your monitor's running at 60 and you want to basically reduce the processing and the bandwidth of the NDI signal, you could lower the frame rate here to say 30. But yeah, this just gives you more precise control over the frame rate of the NDI signal that is generated. Now, audio source, so we can choose to have our system audio captured. So this will be the main audio that's coming out of your speakers on your computer or desktop. Or we can choose to have silence with no audio. Now, one of the other interesting things about screen capture is there is this webcam video source and webcam audio source. Now, what this will actually do is it will basically convert one of these webcams here into an NDI signal. Now, you can only do one at a time. But essentially, you'd be able to take various capture cards and things like that and actually generate an NDI of that capture card using the webcam video source. We won't show this today, but that is there if it's useful to your workflows. Now, webcam audio source. Now, for this, we only get to choose to have the system audio or nothing. So you won't actually be able to capture the video and audio of that capture card as such. Now, that's all there is to that. And the other really cool thing that you can do, and the reason why as well, we actually use this quite a lot, particularly if you've got something like an NDI bridge set up or something, you can then actually control computers across that bridge just all over NDI. So this enable KVM control. So if you click that, now what that will do, so that will change the screen capture and basically allow us to have a KVM control over the actual screen or computer that's generating that source. So it's not appeared yet, so I'll just need to close and reopen the studio monitor just to refresh it. And then what you'll notice is that we now have this KVM button here. Now, I can demonstrate the KVM control. I won't be able to demonstrate it on here, but I've actually got another computer set up with a screen capture currently running with an NDI tools window. Now, all you need to do, so using Studio Monitor, you can then basically pull the NDI of the screen that's got KVM enabled, and it will make this KVM button then appear within the monitor. You can then click that, it will turn blue. And now, as you can see, the mouse cursor of that machine is following, and we are now actually able to fully go into the machine and fully click buttons, scroll around, and basically use the machine all over the network. And then, to be precise, over NDI, which can be obviously very useful in applications like having an NDI bridge set up, where you can then potentially even control machines across a bridge. So this can be incredibly useful and cool. And we do recommend using it for certain applications. So I'm going to close this off now. Now, the other bit that I was going to cover to do the screen capture. So I'm just going to close the screen capture by clicking the exit button. And now the other thing, so the screen capture here, the standard one, is making what's called a full bandwidth or high bandwidth NDI. Now, what we can actually do, and is available to us, if you click the cog here, look, just in the corner there, you can change it to be screen capture HX. Now, this will actually generate what is known as a NDI HX signal, which is encoded and decoded using the graphics card. Now, NDI HX tend to be more compressed, lower bandwidth, but generally offer decent quality. So the settings for this, now we're running the screen capture HX. So these are a little bit different to the normal screen capture settings. So we've still got KVM control here. However, you can no longer do a region of interest as a point. And also on that front, because of that, the capture mouse cursor button is actually now here instead of in the capture settings. Now, video bandwidth, which is a new one, so you can actually choose to have a more compressed signal with lower bandwidth, or a higher quality signal using more bandwidth, being things like ultra. And you can also change the graphics encoder that is encoding and decoding these signals. So it could be H.264, HEVC. You can even do HEVC 10-bit, so for HDR content and things. Now, video resolution, so currently set to just the monitor resolution, but obviously we can set this to any of these resolutions. It just depends on your needs. Frame rate, same thing as the other one really. So monitor frame rate or any of the specified frame rates, just depends on what you're using it for. And then we also don't get this webcam audio this time, but we do get an audio source. So this will actually be, so the source for the audio for the screen capture. So we can choose default audio output, which will just be the default on your computer, or we can choose a more specific audio output to grab the audio from, or even a audio input, as a matter of fact. So you don't have the ability to turn cameras and things into NDI sources using that, but you still get a lot of other cool usability. And particularly the screen capture is good for critical setups where you might, let's say, have a lot of NDIs running and you need to keep the bandwidth to a minimum for the actual show. So this would be good for things like that. And also the KVM also still works on the Screen Capture HX just fine as well. So other than that, you can basically say allow connection notification if you would like. So every time it connects, you will get that pop-up come up that you saw earlier. So that is all there is to screen capture. It is very straightforward to use overall, and it's got some other cool features to it as well, such as the KVM control and things like that. So yeah, that is all there is to screen capture. So thank you for watching.